Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, then welcome. My name is Christina, and today we are doing another installment on Curbing Makeup Cravings, where I talk about brand new makeup either just released or coming soon, and I apply makeup that seems similar to try to curb the craving of whatever is coming out. Sometimes we are successful, sometimes we are not. We are just human over here, you guys. We're trying our best. So if you're interested in seeing all of my thoughts on all the things that are recently launching, then let's get started. Now, honestly, I feel like there's a lot of things coming out, but also at the same time, a lot of nothing that's coming out, which may be good for us, you guys. Maybe it's a good little break. There's also some things that I feel like I personally am not that interested in, but I also want to see if it's something that you guys want me to review, because I'm always up for doing that for you guys if that's what you're interested in. So first we're going to start off with a pretty exciting launch in my opinion, just in general. So Beauty of Joseon is coming to Sephora, if you guys did not know. They did send me this Day Dew sunscreen, which is the first thing I wanted to talk about. This is broad spectrum SPF 50. Now the thing is, with Beauty of Joseon and all of the other Asian brands that are starting to be released at Sephora and Ulta and other retailers here, they are still the same brand. However, they do use FDA approved US filters when it comes to their sunscreens. So for this sunscreen, we do have the US filters avobenzone, homosalate, octosylate, and octocrylene. So those are the different filters in here. People are asking online if it is the same formulas. It is not. To be fair, they have to use FDA approved filters in the US if they want to sell it in the US. But I do have faith in a lot of these brands that they are going to bring us still some pretty good formulations, because if they can create really great formulations in Korea and Japan and stuff, then I would hope that it could translate here and they could figure out how to make it work here. So I have only tried this one time, and I have tried the original sunscreen and the aqua sunscreen. I really like the aqua sunscreen. I like the original one too, but for my oily skin, I feel like the aqua one feels a bit more lightweight. And surprisingly, or maybe it's not surprising for you guys, but this does not feel heavy to me, but it also doesn't feel identical to their other sunscreens. This one to me does seem to have a little bit of that sunscreeny film feeling to it, but not so intensely that I would categorize this as a US sunscreen. Do you know what I'm saying? So you guys saw me just now blend this in real time. It blended in really nicely. It's not a mineral, so this has less of a chance of having a white cast, which I'm pretty sure their original sunscreen and the aqua sunscreen are chemical sunscreens anyways. Now this one does feel, I guess the best way for me to describe, a little bit more greasy than the aqua one. It's more similar to the original one, but I will say that it does feel slightly thicker. I do think it's a pretty good sunscreen. I think that this one would do the best for me in the winter time though. I do feel like it's a little bit thick for my skin, but they say that you can use this as a primer, and I actually feel like this as a primer would be better than just like wearing it as a standalone sunscreen. Again, at least for my skin. So this does retail for $18. So the original sunscreen is about $14 online if you bought one, and the aqua one is also $14. So it's $4 more here in the US, and you don't have to pay shipping or anything if you buy in stores or if you have free shipping at Sephora. So pros and cons, pros and cons. I don't think it's a bad sunscreen though, if that's what you're wondering. I think it's a pretty good sunscreen, but will it replace those other sunscreens for me? Not necessarily. I do think that they are all different formulas, but it is a good formula. I want to start with eyes, and we're going to be talking different categories as I go in. Now, usually you guys, in these videos, I like to pull products from my collection that are similar to the products that we're talking about, but if I'm being quite honest, there aren't a ton of products that are releasing that I feel like I have exact dupes for, or like really good replacements. I hope that me talking about it and like sharing my opinion though is helpful for you anyways. Okay, the Danessa Myricks Colorfix Stix. These I do have. I purchased these. I myself was very excited about it. I did buy two on Sephora's website, and then I bought the two exclusive colors to Danessa Myricks' website because they looked incredible, and they also looked so different from anything I feel like I have, especially when it comes to stick form. So I have Duo's number 3, duo number 8, and duo number 9 and 10. I have used a couple of these. I will link the short that I did down below for you guys if you're curious to see like my initial thoughts on them. We'll use like a mix of these as well as something else that I want to talk about. So the Danessa Myricks Colorfix sticks, these retail for $38. So right off the bat, they seem really, really expensive. I'm like, dang, for an eyeshadow stick. But then I went and I looked, and other eyeshadow sticks are in the $30 range as well, which was actually very surprising to me. I guess I didn't realize how expensive they have become. So with these, you do have 2 different eyeshadow sticks, and they're connected by this magnet right here. And each duo has a metallic and has a foil finish. They can go together, or you can like use them with different things. Obviously, since you can take them apart, you could like switch it up and have it however you want if you want to travel with them. I really like the concept of it. Danessa Myricks has an incredible concept whenever it comes to packaging, especially these days. As far as the formula, these are really nice because again, you have that metallic and that foil, but there's no fallout like you have with a powder because it is suspended in that creamy texture and then it dries down. It has a cooling effect, which I think is a really fun, nice touch. I don't think it's necessary, but I do think that it kind of makes this a little bit more interesting to use, especially in the summertime. And I like the colors. I think that they are very, very fun colors. Now let's talk about the price point real quick. So if you divide it, obviously if you have 2 shadow sticks, then it's $19 per shadow stick, which again is kind of good nowadays. And each one has 0.106 ounces or 3 grams of product in it. So this one has that amount and this one has that amount. It's not like combined, you know. For reference, I looked up how much like the Bobbi Brown eyeshadow sticks have, and those have 0.05 ounces or 1.4 grams, and that retails for $34. So in theory, this is actually a pretty good price. I will say maybe this is a little nitpicky, but for me, if I'm buying a duo, I want to make sure that I'm using both colors, and it was really, really hard for me to pick one of the duos because some of them seemed so similar. Like I think there was a gold duo and then there was another gold duo, or is like a rose gold or white gold duo. I don't know. There are super slight variances, which makes me personally very indecisive. I think that it's nice because for me, I have learned that I like a dirty antique gold and not like a bright yellow gold, and differences like those are really massive for me when it comes to golds. So I understand why they did very slight differences. But the downside is if you don't like one of the colors on the duo, then it might make you not want to purchase that duo. They do dry down. I think that the whole concept is really nice and really fun. It makes makeup fun again. But if you're not totally in love with any of the duos, I would highly recommend that you wait. Wait until they start selling each side by itself, because I highly anticipate that they are going to do that, or they're going to expand it where you can like make your own duos maybe. Because if there's anything I know about Danessa Myricks is that they listen to their audience, and I feel like they create packaging that allows them to grow on top of it. I do really like these that I have though, if you guys are wondering. Let's talk about another product that is new, and I did pick up one. I only got one because I just wasn't really sure. I was on the fence, but I did get questions from you guys about this, so I wanted to pick it up so I can let you know my thoughts. This is one of the Makeup by Mario cream eyeshadows. This retails for $25, and I got the shade Chestnut, which is described as being a medium brown. This one is a little bit more on the cool side. I actually feel like I should have picked up the shade Sienna because it's slightly warmer of a brown, and once it's blended out, this one, it is a little bit cool, but it's okay. We're going to use it. I don't have anything on my eyelids right now. So these cream eyeshadows are supposed to be cream interpretations of the master palettes, any of the master matte palettes that he has. And whenever I heard that these were launching, my very first initial thought was, why would I pick up the cream version if I already have the master matte eyeshadow palettes? And you guys might be like, girl, you love a cream eyeshadow. You're right, I really do. But when it comes to trying to not be so repetitive with my purchases, for me, I was like, why would we want this if we already have the powder version? Here it is. You can see it's very subtle. This one really does just look like a cool shadow. The first time I used this, I used a brush and I did a really light dusting. I actually think I prefer this a little bit more built up like I just did. So that was my initial thought. But then I took a step back and then I was like, okay, who is this for? So I think that one, if you prefer a cream shadow because it's fast, it's quick and easy to use, and it's pretty no fuss, as you can see, then it's for you. Who else is this for? If you are not someone that, again, wants a powder shadow, or if you're looking for just one color out of a palette, because there are so many times when there's an entire eyeshadow palette where I myself am like, oh, I'm not going to use all of these shades. I kind of just gravitate to 3 or 4 shades in like a 12-pan palette. Let's be real. I could see this being for that person that really, really loves that one color in the Makeup by Mario Master Mattes palette, that just wants to wear that every single day. Maybe you're hitting pan, maybe you already hit pan. You're looking for an easy solution because they don't have those powders as singles. Then the cream eyeshadows, I think, are it for you. I can't tell just yet how long the wear is because I've only worn this one other time, like I mentioned, and I did wear something on top of it. I do feel like this takes a while to dry. Like right now, it does feel a little bit sticky, but it's not like creasing right away. It feels like the type of sticky where it's drying down. You know what I mean? When I was swatching these in the store, and I will insert the clip right now, I felt like it would be kind of drying on the eyes. I always think that when it comes to matte eyeshadows, but it actually looks really, really good. It doesn't look drying at all on me, at least. I was very interested in this shade Chestnut and the shade Mauve. However, I did compare Mauve to the shade Cashew from Armani, and they're very, very similar. I would say Cashew is slightly darker than Mauve from Makeup by Mario. So if you find Cashew is just a little bit too much for your complexion, maybe Mauve would be a good one. But they were too similar for me to want to pick that one up as well. I think what I'm going to do is use this duo in number 10 because I don't think I've seen a lot of people use these yet, since they are like the exclusives for the Danessa site. So I still have the cap on here. And by the way, Danessa herself said you don't have to keep this little plastic part because the caps on these are airtight. Once it clicks, it is shut and it shouldn't dry out. However, if you want to keep the little plastic tab for your peace of mind, then that's totally fine. I'm gonna take Shadow Eclipse from that duo. As I apply this, let's talk about the next eyeshadow, and this one's actually an eyeshadow quad. It's the Hourglass Curator eyeshadow quad. So they came out with a couple of new quads, $68 a piece, which is crazy, but not surprising coming from Hourglass. We know Hourglass is definitely up there in pricing. They have set that precedent for us. So there's no surprise there. So if these are anything like their face powders in terms of the blendability, in terms of that soft look, I think that these are going to be really, really nice. The packaging looks so sleek, very much what you would expect from Hourglass. It looks beautiful in the marketing photos. I mean, everything about this screams luxury for me, especially that price. And I would expect that from Hourglass. This shade has little flecks of glitter that are so pretty, but they're also not too chunky to where it's overwhelming. I really like that. I think a lot of people are actually really interested in these quads. I mean, looking at the different quads that they have, how many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think there's 6. They all look like different kinds of neutrals. In looking at it, it doesn't look like anything spectacular. However, if you really look at Hourglass as a whole, as a brand, and if you look at their offerings, and if you look at their demographic, neutrals, I think, make the most sense. It's the safest bet, and it seems like what their audience wants. So it makes a lot of sense. These quads I think are beautiful. Would I love one of these quads? Probably. Am I gonna get one? No, not for $68. Y'all, that's too much for me right now. I'm pretty sure that this shade is supposed to be like a dark green shade, but to me it seems like a gray, like a charcoal. I think the biggest problem that Hourglass is going to face when it comes to this is that price barrier. For $68, I feel like it's going to be hard to convince new people to purchase from Hourglass, but they have such a strong fan base that kind of outweighs it, or maybe it just evens it out. Maybe it balances that price barrier that I anticipate that they're gonna have. Here's that duo. I might like touch it up a little bit as we continue on, but wow, so pretty. I love this little smoky look, and recently I've been really into green on my eyeshadow. If you guys haven't noticed yet, I think it's so fun. So the next thing I want to talk about is another eyeshadow palette, and this one is from Natasha Denona. It is the Gloom mini eyeshadow palette. So when it comes to her mini palettes, I do think that the quality is there, especially for the price. This is $24, so I think that's a great price point for really high quality, buttery, smooth eyeshadows. So if you already have your eye on one of her palettes, but you're looking for a color story similar to this one, then I would honestly say maybe look into it. I don't think that you would be disappointed. So this has more grungy, cool tone shades that I think are so beautiful. However, for myself, I know that I just don't gravitate towards cool grungy tones, even though I have kind of like a grungy look going on. Using this duo right here really like fed into that whole thing for this video. But the shades themselves, just looking at them, looking at the swatches and stuff, they're beautiful. That mossy green color I think is like the star of the show for me. That like deeper teal shade, really beautiful as well. But for me, it's just not something that I think I would be reaching for often, so it doesn't really make sense for me to buy it, even if, you know, it's only $24. That's still $24 I could go towards something else, you know. But I can see a lot of people really loving this because I know a lot of people are loving cool tones right now. And I think that these shades are very unique in the sense that they're eye-catching. You can kind of do different looks that you can't necessarily do with like a big cool tone palette that's more neutral. I think that this is a great way to get these colors and not have to either buy them as singles or buy them in a bigger palette. I know that Lisa Eldridge just came out with like the Safari Edit 6-pan eyeshadow palette, which honestly I was so close to purchasing because the shades just looked absolutely incredible. But I ultimately decided against it just because I know me and I know that I'm less likely to reach for something like that. Now let's move on to complexion and let's talk about a couple of contouring products. So we're going to talk about some detailing contour products. So instead of using my regular like foundations and stuff, I thought I would use concealers because I don't know, I was thinking detailing and using a concealer. And also I've just been really into using concealers as my main complexion product. So first I want to talk about the Morphe Shapelifter Micro Contours. I haven't seen them in stores yet. I think they're only online currently. What are you guys thinking of Morphe's comeback? Do you like it? Are you into it? Are you interested in what they're doing over there? For me, honestly, I feel like they're being a little bit more strategic in what they're releasing. They're really looking at the market and seeing like what's trending, what may do well in terms of being more evergreen, you know, instead of just like following trends, which I think is a pretty good idea. And it seems like a lot of people are really impressed with the new Morphe products. Have you guys tried them yet? I don't think that I've tried anything really, but anyways, these micro contours, it's essentially like a contour, a cream contour in like a skinny stick, almost like an eyeshadow crayon and eyeshadow stick. Just looking at it, they look nice. I feel like these micro pencils, like micro contours and micro concealers and stuff are definitely trending, and I can see people wanting these over a giant like contour stick because it doesn't take a lot of product to contour anyways, so it seems like it makes more sense to get a smaller product, and then that way you can kind of cycle through it a little bit faster and use other products instead of just having a bunch of different contour products in your collection, you know? I'm not entirely sold on it yet personally. I think that it's a cool concept, and I think if you're trying to minimize your collection, it makes sense to go for something a little bit smaller. And I think for this price point it is nice, but seeing other big brands come out with the same concept for a lot more money, it just feels I don't know, it feels bad, I guess, like buying it for that much. And I'm like, how much different can this be from other contour, cream contour products that are bigger and you get more bang for the buck, you know? Wait. Anyways, when we're talking about contours, you really are just pinpointing. Like you're just putting it in here, you're just contouring your nose, you're just doing the outer perimeter of your forehead or your jawline. So it makes sense that it's smaller. But again, I feel like it's it's interesting from going from like big contour sticks to a small pencil. Now, with all of that aside, I do think that this formula looks pretty nice. I mean, it's nothing revolutionary. I think that this shade range is like a minimized, condensed version of the Fenty Beauty Matchsticks, those contour shades. I think that there's definitely some similarities when it comes to shades there, but obviously Fenty has a bigger, like a larger range of colors in theirs. Sephora collection also has some contour sticks for $14, and it's a lot bigger. But I will say, in terms of the swatches and seeing these being used, I do think that the Morphe ones are not going to be as oily. Like, I feel like these are going to be a little bit of a drier formula. Maybe it'll like stay more in place wherever you place it. Not saying that the Sephora collection doesn't, but that one definitely gives you tons of pigmentation, and it like offloads it a lot because of that more creamy, more oily texture. I'd say that if you don't already have a contour stick or product that you really enjoy, then this could be something that would be nice to look into, because then you can like dip your toes into contour without having to commit to something way more expensive and with way more product when you don't even know if it's like going to be an everyday routine for you. Oh, and also really quickly, I don't know too much about this one, and this was on Trend Mood's Instagram, but the L'Oreal Face Sculptors, these are another micro contour product, and this one is currently available in Europe. I don't know when it's coming to the US. I would anticipate that it is coming eventually. Again, kind of the same sentiment that I had with the Morphe ones, but the Morphe ones look more sleek to me, like they look more interesting, while the L'Oreal ones kind of look, I don't know, they're just not as nice to me. But that's definitely not to say that the formula isn't good, because the L'Oreal Infallible line is incredible when it comes to complexion products, especially if you're looking for something that is super long wear. I think that this one might actually be a really good one. But again, I don't know very much about this one at all, but I did want to mention it, and it's on my radar. I am curious to see when it's going to come this way. Now, with all that talk about contours, I'm not contouring, but I am bronzing, and I'm going to be using this as I talk about it. This is the new Natasha Denona bronzer. It's the liquid bronzer. It's the Hy-Sculpt liquid bronzer in the shade Bonfire. It is a medium warm. They also had a medium cool that I was actually debating on, because both of them seemed like they were going to work for me, but I ended up going with this because I've been really enjoying a warmer type of bronzer versus something that's more bronzer contour. So I mainly bought this again because you guys asked me what my thoughts were on it and if I was going to test it out, and I was curious. I thought that this would be a really nice one, and spoiler alert, I think it's really good. So this is $38, and the texture of it, very creamy and liquidy, and it dries down quite nicely on the face. I would say that the formula is kind of like a hybrid between Rare Beauty's liquid contour and the LYS Beauty bronzer stick. Like, I think it's somewhere in between there in terms of the blendability and the way that it feels, like a little bit creamy, but it's still really runny. And the shade range, again, like I said, is actually pretty nice. I think it's a little bit flexible. You could use one or two shades from what I can see. There is a warm tone and a cool tone for each complexion, which I think is nice because not everyone loves a warm bronzer, not everyone loves a cool, like hybrid bronzer contour product. It sets down very nicely, and you don't lose a lot of that pigmentation when you set it down with powder, which is nice. I have not had to use this on top of powder because, like I mentioned, the pigmentation does stay and you can like see it through the powder. So I can't say how it does in terms of that. As you can see, like the pigmentation is really high. It blends super well. I don't find that it gets patchy or anything like that. I do have that weird patch on my skin that I always have though, but I never really consider that because that's with literally every bronzing product. What I pumped on here, half a pump, maybe half a pump, maybe even less than that, and it covered my entire face. It looks really nice. I have really been enjoying this bronzer. If you already have the Rare Beauty cream bronzer or the LYS cream bronzer, I don't really think that you need it if you have those. Yeah, I mean, I like it, but if you have something that you really enjoy currently, this is nothing that's super new to me. It's just a good bronzer. This isn't going to be something that I'm telling you to run out and get. Okay, let's talk Summer Friday Blush Butter Bombs. So these recently released for $26 and the shade range is beautiful. It's kind of like all different shades of nudie pinks or neutral pinks, you know? It's not a ton of variety, but the shades I think are really pretty. I like them. For $26, I feel like that's like pretty good for a high-end cream blush, no? Like I think it was smart for them to make it like under $30 because they don't have a product like this. So if they made it any more expensive, I feel like some people would question it. I love the shade range, like I said, but there's not a lot of variety. So if you're looking for something other than a pink, this is not going to be your cup of tea. When I was in stores and I saw these, I did swatch them and immediately they felt slick, super slick, almost like the Makeup by Mario skin enhancers, like the one that's in the pan, that one, how it's like oily almost, even more oily than like the Tower 28 cream blushes. Those I think have a little bit more thickness to them. These feel super slick, super ultra dewy, and I immediately was like, oof, that's not gonna work. These don't stand a chance on my oily skin, especially in the summertime. I could see this really shining if you're not gonna wear any makeup and you just want a little blush. Maybe you're very minimal with your makeup and you do mostly like a natural blush in the summertime. I think it would be beautiful for that. And if you have normal skin, if you have dry skin, I think it would be really nice. But for me, I don't think they're going to be anything that I want to touch, at least until it starts cooling down. And if you have these, the Kaja Dewy Bars, I feel like not a lot of people purchase Kaja, but if you do happen to have one of these, I think that the formula is very similar in terms of shine, hydration, and finish. I obviously didn't put those on the cheeks, but I feel like I know, like I've tried enough blushes to really know what it's going to look like on the cheeks in terms of finish. These are just as dewy, but I think that they have a little bit more wear time. Like these kind of dry down a little bit before I set it down with powder. They're very oily though, like if you feel them, and they're supposed to be. They're called dewy blush bars, so they're going to be really dewy. I'm going to use this one today in the shade Grapefruit Gelato. When it comes to really dewy formula, I find that it's always easier to go in with a brush, tap it off, and then apply it and build it up that way so that you don't get a ton of hydration on the cheeks right away and you're mainly depositing the pigment off that first like tap, you know what I'm saying? You can see really beautiful, but obviously very dewy. I love these in like the cooler weather because they make the skin just look so glassy and there's a ton of pigment in these. Another one that I actually wanted to mention, I don't think I'm going to put this on the cheeks because I think it's going to clash way too much with the eyes, but the Ilia Soft Focus Blurring Blushes. I really want these. I really want one of these for me, not because any of you guys have asked me, but I'm looking at these and I feel like it's a formula that I will love. I think it's a baked formula. Let's look. It's a talc-free soft focus blurring blush. Lasts up to 12 hours. It says it has light coverage and it's a pressed powder. I thought that this was a baked powder, but I guess it's not. It's just pressed. These shades look very muted. I think there's like 3 or 4 shades in the line that looks so similar, but as a blush lover, I could justify getting blushes that look almost identical. I feel like the only shades that really pop are Pulse and the shade Closer, and then Magnetic, which is a rich berry, and all the other shades just look like different shades of pink, which again isn't a bad thing. I could for sure justify getting very slight variances in blushes because I love blush, but if you're looking for something that's going to have a huge range, this is not going to be it. But I think this formula by itself just looks so beautiful. It looks like it's something that you could build and it would still look really blurred, but I do want to see this in stores before I pick one up because I want to swatch them. I want to make sure it's the right shade because again, it's kind of hard to tell which shade is going to be like the perfect one in my preferences. But something that I think actually seems really similar in terms of like the formula is the Hot Cheeks from Fenty Beauty. They have kind of like that really, really powdery, blurred look. This one that I have has a little bit of like gold flecks in it, so it definitely looks more intense than the Ilia one does, but the actual texture of this one is very blurring on the skin, and I feel like if you have any of these, maybe one that doesn't have such intense gold fleck to it, because I know that they have other ones, then you probably don't need the Ilia one. I think though, if you're looking for a blush topper shade, it would be nice because it does say it has light coverage. I don't know, I'm having a hard time like coming up with comparisons that are not glittery or like duochromy or have like sheen to it. These do seem like they're for the most part matte, but they have a little bit of like a brightening effect to them. So definitely going to be checking these out in person. I'm going to try to talk myself out of it though, just because I have a lot of blush, you know, not because I'm not interested. Another one that I think I really want to check out whenever they release them, and I don't know too much about this one. This is the Dior Forever blush, the soft filter one. So these look like they're kind of like a whipped cream blush, and the reason I'm interested in this is because you guys know I love a cream. I love how blendable they are, and I like how you can build them up without them looking heavy, but I also really like the idea of this being a whipped product because when it dries down, supposedly it's more of a powder finish, which I think will do really well on my oily skin. I love the idea of this one way more, and I think that it would work way better on my skin than their recently released cream blushes. Those are very light in pigment, which if you're looking for that, I think these would be really good for that, but they were very hydrating, super hydrating, almost similar to the Haus Labs one, except the Haus Labs one, in my opinion, have more pigment, so it's easier to get that pigment load without getting too greasy. The Dior ones were just too much for me, so I'm thinking that these new ones are going to be really nice to use, but they'll actually be long wearing. The colors also are very pretty to me. I'm like waiting to hear when these are going to release in the States because I really want to start swatching them and see what I think about them and let you guys know what I think about them. Another one, and this one is kind of like a hybrid product, Too Faced is coming out with Cloud Crush Whipped Lip and Cheek products. So these are available in Europe currently. I don't know how much they're going to be when they come stateside, and I can see these being really nice. Again, they look like they're going to be a beautiful blurring type of product. I think that this is going to be really nice if you're looking for a cheek product that is going to be more creamy or like moussey and dry down to a powder. I don't know though, when it comes to these like multi products, when it comes to them being matte, I find that I like them more on my lips than I do with my cheeks, because sometimes working with them on your cheeks is a little bit more difficult, whereas I feel like if it's something that's dedicated for the cheeks, like the Dior powder blush filters that we just talked about, I think that they would put into consideration how much time you need to blend them, but who knows? I haven't really seen any reviews on these just yet. I feel like we've seen a lot of these types of products coming out with a bunch of different price points, and obviously we see a lot of this in the Asian beauty space. These seem really similar to me to the Romand Blur Fudge tints, which are really nice, the 3CE Blur Water tints, and the Peri Para Ink Velvets. So all of those are kind of different variations of each other. They do have different dry time, how they feel on the lips. I think it just comes down to personal preference really, and usually these have very strong pigmentation. Like I would consider them to be full coverage. I like to just dot a little bit on my lips and then blur it out with my fingers so as to not get too much coverage. The really big benefit that I can see about getting it from Too Faced though, and not from an Asian beauty brand, is that it looks like Too Faced has more colors that are a little bit more based on like nudes and not just like pinks and reds. It looks like they have more muted colors that I think are really wearable on the cheeks and the lips. And I don't know where these are formulated, but if they are from an Asian country, then I think it'll be good if it's an Asian beauty inspired product. I like that it seems like Too Faced is kind of going outside of the box now, and they're starting to take inspiration from other formulations and other trends and stuff. They're not just like like sticking to the same like eyeshadow palette that they have been for 20 years, you know? I've been really impressed with like their eyeshadow sticks. I love their pillow balms. Those are like some holy grails for me now. So I'm really liking the direction that Too Faced seems like they're going in. So I'd be interested to see and swatch and kind of test these out for myself. Rhode is coming out with brand new blush colors and a new lip peptide shade. And I think the lip peptide is limited edition. Honestly, I could care less about the lip peptides. I haven't had good experiences. I hate that they crystallize. I don't think that makes sense for it to be so expensive and then have like formulation issues and tell people like, you can fix it. No, you can fix it. I have such beef with those. I can't even explain. But the blush pockets I think are very nice. I have one of those in the shade Freckle. They very much remind me of the Persona Multi-Sticks in formulation. The new blush shades, they look right up my alley. Having that orange shade and then that muted pink, like the warm tan pink, I think, oh, they're so beautiful. I'm so tempted to pick those up. But my problem is that even though I have one of the pocket blushes, it's not one that I reach for all the time. I don't know if it's because the shade is just not inspiring or if the formula just is like okay for me right now. I do think that the orange shade though is one of the shades that I have been gravitating towards recently, so I'm debating on picking that one up. I don't like the blush pocket packaging, by the way. I think it's so unnecessarily bulky. Like, it's cute. Other than that, it's just kind of a hassle to store it. I'm sure that's me just being nitpicky though. I need my eye drops. My eyes are getting more red as I sit here. Maybe I'll pick up that orange shade. I do think that I would get some pretty good use out of that one because I don't think that I have a shade quite like that, like where it's that warm reddish orange tone, you know? But I did tell myself that I'm going to reach for that Rhode pocket blush that I have in Freckle, use it a couple times like in a row, make sure that I really like the formula and it's something that works within my current makeup routine. And then if I do find that it checks all those boxes, then I will consider picking up that new blush color because they're not limited from what I can tell. They are in limited edition packaging with the Rhode logo being yellow, but other than that, I'm pretty sure that the shades are permanent. I've been really loving faux freckles and I got this Tarte one, the Go with the faux freckles, and it has these 5 prongs on here that you kind of push into a sponge in here, and I actually feel like it's been the easiest way for me to do freckles recently. I'm very impressed. This is in the shade Deep, by the way. I want to talk about the brand new Fenty Bright Fix Brightening and Setting Powders. So this is essentially this powder. This is just the translucent one, except they've expanded the range to have different shades that are supposed to be brightening on the skin. So it covers all of the bases when it comes to complexion. So this one is considered a setting / blotting powder, and these new ones are brightening and setting powders. I think the only difference really is that these have actual colors to them. Correct me if I'm wrong, you guys, but it says that it's an ultra fine pressed powder that extends foundation and concealer wear for all day. So yeah, I think it's about the same thing. This powder from them is really good. I think it's a great blotting powder. I wouldn't necessarily use it to bake my skin. I wouldn't use it to set it down initially, but I do really like it for touch-ups and blotting like it says. So I'm curious to see how these colored ones would work for me then. But in saying that, I feel like I would kind of have to like use it differently, you know, instead of using the puff that comes with it or like going in with a separate sponge type of thing and using it in specific areas. I could see myself using more of like a fluffy brush and dusting it after I bake my face with my initial translucent powder just to get that extra brightening effect, because I don't really typically go in with a colored powder by itself. I have some natural freckles like on my cheeks, so I've been using faux freckles to kind of accentuate that a little more. They look so good. Like, this has been the easiest one because I find with like regular pens that have the felt tip, sometimes I dot it and then it just smears everywhere, whereas this has like those thick stiff prongs. I can't really like push it down too much, you know, and mess up the little dots. So anyways, back to the powders. I think it'll serve as a really nice powder if you're looking for something that is going to be brightening and something that is compact, because I feel like a lot of color correcting or brightening powders currently are loose powders. So this one would be really nice on the go, or if you just don't want to fuss with a loose powder. I would be interested in trying these, especially because of that formula. I think that for me, I would try the shades Banana and Rose Quartz. Next is a powder that was actually sent to me, so I want to show you guys how this works on me. I've tried it like twice. So it is the Saie Slip Tint Undetectable Baked Setting Powder, and I have the shade Translucent 2. At first I saw it and I was like, man, that's a small shade range, but then I realized it's a setting powder, so it's not supposed to be like a foundation powder type of thing. So with setting powders, for me at least, I find that I either like a translucent powder or a powder that is very light in pigmentation. I find that if I use something that matches my actual skin tone, it darkens up my foundation and concealer and it just does not look good. So I'm glad that I was sent number 2. The packaging is so hard to open. They did the same thing with their blushes. It's really difficult. I can't imagine how difficult it would be if you have nails, but you really have to like get in there. I have the powder blush as well that they sent, and this is what it looks like. It's essentially just a really light powder, which works actually for my skin tone. I actually feel like this is really pressed, so you don't get a lot of kick up, so it gives you a little bit of product at a time, which would be really nice. If you guys are familiar, the Kosas Cloud Set powder, this one has a ton of kick up and it's baked as well, but I love that powder as my finishing powder. I also have really been loving this powder underneath my eyes, so I'll take like a triangle puff or something, I'll put it in here, tap it on my hand, and then I will press it in before going in with a loose powder, and it gives me such a blurred filter look. It looks so good. I have this in the shade Comfy, but this one I think actually works even more if you don't like powder. So a lot of people say the Kosas Cloud Set powder is perfect if you're not a powder person, but you find yourself needing a powder. I think that this one, if you find that Kosas one is still too powdery, this one would be even better because it gives you a really, really light dusting of powder. I wouldn't say that this is enough to be a setting powder on its own for me. The first time I used it, I used just this one and my oils definitely came through. So this is for sure going to be a finishing powder for myself. And another way that you can use it, actually, I like to go in with a light dusting of powder before going in with any powder, blush, or bronzer, just to make sure that any creams or liquids that are on my face do not get in the way of the blend of my powders. So this is actually really great for that. It creates a really, really thin layer of powder. But do I think that you need both? Probably not. If I'm looking for more oil control while still being kind of like an undetectable powder, I'd probably go with this because I know this works really well with my oils. But if you're not oily and you need just a little bit of powder that looks really nice and natural on the skin, this would be a really good one. I will say though, if I try to set the face with this in my porous areas, it kind of accentuates those pores. So if you have large pores that you're concerned about and you find that things usually emphasize it, I don't think that this is going to be the one for you, but I have been liking it for, again, just a really light dusting. Okay, so as I bronze my face, I want to talk about a couple of lip products. So the first one is the Sephora Favorites It's Giving Nude Lip Kit. Now this comes with a couple of full-size lip products and some deluxe mini size of other ones, and it's $45, and this one gets my stamp of approval. I love this kit. I honestly think it's such a good deal for what you're getting. I have a lot of these products, so I didn't find it necessary for myself to get, but if there are any shades or any formulas in here that you have been wanting to try, I think that this is a great one for you to pick up. This one comes with the Haus Labs Hybrid Lip Glaze in the shade Cocoa, the Lawless Forget the Filler Lip Plumper in the shade Nudie, one of my favorite glosses, and also the Haus Labs one is one of my favorite lip oils. Makeup Forever's Super Boost Lip Gloss in Wherever Walnut. I have that one in Anywhere Caffeine. It is so glassy and beautiful on the lips. The YSL Love Shine Lip Oil Stick in the shade 44 Nude Lavalier. I do not have this one, but this is a fan favorite for a lot of people. The Merit Signature Lip Sheer Lip Liners liners in Capricorn. I think it's definitely one of those you either love it or hate it type of lip liners, and because this is in a kit, I could see this being more worth it to be able to try it versus just buying one of them on their own. The Tarte Plumping Lip Oil in Cinnamon, I have not tried that one, and the Laneige Glaze Craze in Sugar Glaze, and I love that. It smells like boba. It's incredible. It's so good. And I think that one is a full size in this kit. And even though you do get minis in here, I have learned through my Project Pan journey, makeup products and lip products themselves, they last so long. So even though they're minis, you're definitely going to get a lot of use out of it, and you'll be able to tell if it's going to be a formula that you either really love or really hate or you're indifferent about by the time you finish it up. Speaking of, I am going to be using one of the Merit lip liners because MAC also came out with these hydrating lip liners. They're called the Lipglazer Glossy lip liners, and they're bringing iconic shades into this lip liner collection. So I feel like that aids in some credibility, you know, like you already know you like those colors, so there's no doubt that you're also gonna like the lip liners. These definitely remind me of the Merit ones, at least the way that they're describing them. They're supposed to be hydrating, creamy, buildable colors, and they don't seem like they're gonna set down. The Merit ones do not set down. I will say that the colors of these are a bit more sheer than what I'm seeing from the MAC ones. But I'm wondering, do you actually need those lip liners if you already have the lip colors? Like, what's the benefit? Is it just another one of the micro products, like where you take the MAC lip liners and you fill in your entire lip with it versus going in with the lipstick? Like, are they different formulas than the regular lipsticks? I'm kind of confused about it. I mean, they look really, really beautiful, don't get me wrong, but I don't know. If you are loyal to MAC and you love their products, I would love to know your thoughts on this. Like, if you think it's a must, if it's like you want a lip liner that matches the lip stick that you have. I don't know. I'm very curious about it. But for me, with these, I think that they're best if you just fill in your entire lip and you kind of use it as your lip color versus just using it as a lip liner, because they don't really serve any other purpose other than giving you that sheer lip look. Like, they're not long wearing. They're not going to make your lip color last longer. They're just kind of like your lip color in a lip liner form, you know? All right, you guys, here's our finished look. Very grungy of me. I don't usually do this. Like I said, I don't do like a cool toned grungy smoky eye, but I really like this. I think it's so flattering, so nice. It makes my features look very dark. I hope you guys enjoyed this installment of Curbing Makeup Cravings. Now, did we curb the craving of this makeup? I would say yes. There's really only two things that I really want, which are the Dior blush filters whenever those come out and the Ilia blushes, but I want to make sure that I like swatch those and see if they're actually products that I will like. I will say that if I didn't have these already, I would probably pick them up because these are very exciting to me. They're new. And as you saw, I did this whole smoky eye look with nothing but like my fingers and maybe like one brush. So they are so easy to use and they give you such a complex kind of eyeshadow look without having to do the most. I mean, I do really like these products as well. Are they completely new? No. This one I think is really, really good, but again, you can probably skip it if you already have a liquid bronzer that you really like, unless you're looking for a specific shade. This one is nice if you're looking for just that one and done cream eyeshadow. Maybe again, if you have the palettes and your hitting pan already hit pan, or you just want one shade in there, these are a really good option for that. So you don't have to go out and buy a whole entire palette that you're not necessarily looking to have. Yeah, I mean, those are all of my thoughts, you guys. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. Please let me know in the comments down below what you guys are thinking about all of these new releases, and if they're things you're going to pick up, or if they're things that you've already experienced and you want to share with the community. I would love to know in the comments down below. I will be leaving our playlist right here for the Curbing Makeup Cravings series in case you want to see my thoughts on other new releases at the time. But until next time, you guys, please take care of yourselves, and I will see you very, very soon. Bye!